We're going to call the meeting to order. Third meeting. This is the Town of Bay Harbor Islands monthly council meeting at 8:47 p.m. We already did the pledge. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Tricochet.
Here.
Councilmember Sauer. Councilmember Reed. Here. Councilmember Fuller.
Here. I can't pull up.
Vice Mayor Bruder. Ditto. Mayor Leonard.
Still here. Very
You
good.
have a...
All right. Request for withdrawals, deferments, future agenda items. All right, we're going to move over.
Hang on.
Okay.
All of those at the same time.
Okay.
I think we had another one that dropped off, didn't we?
Yeah, by the way, just
Yeah,
so you know,
there's
11 and 12
11, 12, and 14.
and 14.
Yeah.
Wait.
Hold on, we're just getting organized. We got enough
Me
stuff
too,
here.
we had...
Oh, wait a second, I'm sorry, you said 14?
11,
Yeah.
12, and 14
14.
are not on the agenda.
All right, hold on.
Okay, 14.
They're withdrawn.
Still on. Oh, no.
That's
Been
still on.
revised.
Wait,
Well-
11?
Well, wait a second, let us do our business, and
Yes.
we'll get to number 9.
11 time, we're up? 12 and 14.
Well, I was going to ask for number 9 to be for next month since
And
council...
Mayor asked, Councilman Yaffe made a point to call me and call Ron and say, please, 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 do not remove that item from the agenda without me being
We're not gonna
there.
get a second.
Okay, well, there you go.
He wants it heard, he wants it to move forward.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
So,
11, 12, and 14.
have been
Yes, with deferred.
Okay, very good.
And the consent agenda, can you pull number 5?
Pull number 5. Okay, pull number 5, and also number 7, please.
5 and 7.
Okay.
You know what, while we're pulling 3 also.
And 3. Very good. Okay.
And then future agenda items?
All right, anything?
Yeah, just to kind of follow up on other things, we've mentioned them, we have to get back to the memorial type of plaque for our fallen council members.
Well,
We talked about it already, but it didn't make it back on. JC, I don't know if you were still working on that, like the cost of a plaque for a bench or something?
It's about $100, $90. That's
Okay, so we'll put that back on to revisit that since we have the information. How about the digital sign?
the digital sign.
You took a deep breath before you answered that.
some of us know about that.
We have,
Yeah.
once I got the plans, before I put it out to bid, I sent it to, for permitting to FDOT. They saw it and they're like, this is not allowed, I know right away. And it's because it has flashing lights, it's a movable message board, and it's just not allowed. They sent me all their guidelines. I've been working with them, trying to
Has to be a chalkboard.
try to see. But their requirements, since it's an LED board, the message can't be changing, the lights can't be flashing.
Sorry.
Okay, so can we deep
But we
six that,
can-
like forever?
But the Welcome to Bay Harbor Island sign, that's a standalone sign, it doesn't change, that's allowed, and so do the sculptures. I'll show you what they sent me, so you can see what.
You told them that most of the DOT signs we see on the street are flashing with bulbs missing, and it's distracting.
No, and then I also asked them on 125th, the one right by North Miami, and they pointed out that that's not in their right-of-way, that is further back, and it's on North Miami property.
Convenient.
What
All
about
right.
on Causeway Island?
Causeway Island is a different animal, that's ours.
That's
Right.
what, that's where we started.
Two more future agenda items that are sort of revisiting. Marlene, the noise and the generators, I had told you that I have a volunteer for you to measure.
Yeah, we were a little busy with it.
I know, so was I. That's okay. I just wanted to just
Yes.
mention it again.
Yes.
And then, Stephanie, I thought you had a great idea with the waterfront lots being fenced, so I'd like, that we continue looking at that. And then I'd like to put, at least one charter change for discussion that we may put on a referendum, and many of us have talked about it, and some have talked in support, that we should have the direct election of the mayor. So I would like to have discussion of that and possibly other charter changes.
Okay.
Marlene, just one other thing. If and when you guys go back out again, going back on the generator issue, and I think there were a couple locations you were going to check when they're doing their tests, if you could please give me a call. I'd like to just go out there as well with you guys.
Okay. All right, anything else? Hearing none, we're going to go to the town manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a few things. As you know, you might have noticed that the construction area around the base of the bridge is starting to be getting smaller as they're starting to break down and finish the project off. If you noticed, if you were coming over the causeway today, a lot of the signage, the construction signage that would tell you, slow down, it's all being pulled, it's being removed, and it's all a good sign. So we're going to be wrapping this up very soon. Probably within a month or two, we'll be finalizing it. You were handed tonight a memo from Randy to me, and this is regarding an emergency expenditure that we had to take care of. A sinkhole had developed on 95th Street in front of the garage, directly in the crosswalk from the garage over to the school. Public Works, an alert Public Works employee saw it, alerted the engineering department. They came, and fortunately, we had a construction crew getting ready to start a sewer repair in town. We were able to redirect them immediately. They exposed what the problem was, which really was just ebb and flow of water. It wasn't a water leak or anything like that. They closed it up with flowable fill, and the decision was not to patch that stamped sidewalk, just to take, that was really my call, to take it all out and put in a new crosswalk, which you see there. The price of the expenditure was $5,900, and I'm just, due to the timing of it, it's here now, and I'm just looking for just an approval, just to let you know, and I had to do it.
Do you need a motion for that, or something?
I don't know, you know what, I don't know.
I make a motion, I'll make a motion that we approve.
It's under 10,000.
Yes, but it is an emergency.
It's an emergency. So I
Appropriation.
make a motion that we, spend the $5,900.
Yeah. Second.
Oh, yeah, it's just approving the check. We already did it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Okay, all right.
Thank you very much.
That's actually a really good price for...
Yeah, I was no change order from this one.
Actually, I gotta say,
The guy was already mobilized.
yeah, I know, that's actually a good deal. So, all right, anything else?
Just two other things. Water tap, you might have saw, I emailed everybody
On East Bay Harbor.
on East Bay Harbor Drive. They were getting ready to do that, and at the last minute, some material wasn't brought on site by the contractor for the Monarch, so it had to be postponed. However, luck have it, our contractor who was supposed to do that sewer line lateral repair in front of the Monarch, when they exposed it, it showed that the whole sewer lateral is directly beneath the 12-inch water main, and they cannot leave it in the condition that it is, and we're going to have to actually make a modification to the water main, which is basically you can't have water beneath sewer, and you can't modify the sewer main because it has to have it has a pitch or a drop. It has to be very, very precise. So we can't move that, but we can reroute the water main. It's basically just it just goes right over it. It's a common thing, and we've done it before. But we're going to do it in one shot. This way, we don't have to close the water off twice. It'll be when they attach through the tap of the water main to the hotel, the water will be shut off, and we will make that repair at the same time.
How long will it be off?
3 hours.
Did you say the Grand Bay or the Monarch? Because we were talking
The
about...
Grand Beach, what did I say, Mon?
Grand Beach.
I'm sorry, Grand Beach.
Grand Beach.
It's the...
So it won't be
Grand Beach.
Thursday night?
It's not going to be Thursday. We've already made those notifications, and we'll be letting them know ahead of time, as we usually do, when the water will be turned off. There's a precaution, even though we chlorinate the water and the service a lot, the Department of Health has to do two separate tests to make sure the water is no contamination, and they do that after the connections are made. As soon as that's done and we get an okay, it's the water safe to drink. It's strictly...
And it's isolated to specific buildings that feed into that section, so, because sometimes we see these alerts like, in the bay,
Right.
and you wonder, where's the cutoff line, or...
We're lucky that when we were doing community enhancements, we put in a lot of extra gate valves to make the isolation, we can isolate, not perfectly, but get it pretty close. So those 4 buildings that are right there, I think the Seascape, Island,
Summit,
Island Place.
Island Place, Carol Walk.
yes, those 4 will be directly affected. And it'll be late at night, from basically 12 at night to 3 in the morning.
Is it going to affect water pressure anywhere else?
No.
Very good.
All right.
Lastly, I just want to, Sean has been anxiously wanting to share something with us. Actually, the police department had 2 good stories. One is the closing of a very old missing persons case, which Sean didn't want to do last month until we had all the facts and make sure everything was, perfect. And the other thing, we had a very good LPR story on a couple of real bad guys coming through town. They were alerted, and the police were able to make the arrest over in Bell Harbor. I know you might have heard the helicopter flying around, but all 3, everybody was apprehended. Didn't take 5 hours to get them, a little less time, but it's really a good story, and it just shows the investment in that technology has been paying off for us.
All right, Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Manager, members of the commission, and Mayor, thank you for the opportunity. The first issue I just want to bring to your attention was the LPR hit last month. We received several calls from the community regarding the police activity that occurred on April 13th. One of my officers got an LPR hit, and it was actually an armed carjacking suspect out of Miami. And three people were apprehended. Miami came up and charged their subject with the armed carjacking, and we charged 2 others with a stolen vehicle. So, again, when we ask for this technology, it is paying off. This is the second one in, I believe, 3 months where the subjects were actually apprehended. In both cases, they were armed. Both cases, we did recover handguns. So, not only is it a safety asset to my members, but it's also a great asset to the community. I know the manager and I both looked at new technology for actually live streaming cars and the occupants and incorporating it into the LPR project. So we'll be probably presenting that in the near future. But again, thank you for this support. We are a technology city, and that's probably one of the reasons why we're the second safest community our size in the state. So it is, the investment is paying off. Next, I would just like to thank the members of the council for the support and for those who attended the Leo Awards. I'm very proud of our Police Explorer Advisors. They were nominated out of all the departments for the Community Partnership Award and the Leo Award for their efforts, not only with our youth in the Explorer post, but also for their training and their Police Academy endeavors for training all of South Florida cadets last year. Our Explorers actually attended their first competition this year, and although we didn't bring a trophy back, we competed with 22 other teams, and we ranked in the top third on several competitions, which included crisis intervention, traffic stops, building searches, domestics, and things of that nature. So we're very proud of our Explorers. And again, another investment that you guys are making in tomorrow, being our Police Explorers and the youth in our community. We have a tremendous network of Explorers. It continues to grow. We've sent them to events all over the North End and in fact throughout the county. So it's a very successful program and for a very small investment. And then the other thing that the manager mentioned was the cold case, missing person. This case actually occurred in 2004. Sylvia Penniman, she was reported missing in 2004, and back then the detective had exhausted all leads. When I got here in 2014, I met with FDLE and some neighboring jurisdictions to reopen the case. We had a couple of leads. We hit some dead ends. In 2016, some of those leads reopened, and Detective Grimes was actually able to locate the missing person through the Social Security Fraud Department because she was still being paid. So that was nice because we were getting ready to consider that possibly a cold case homicide. So she's been recovered, and the case has been cleared. So again, thank you for the support, and thank you for letting me talk about these issues.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, thanks.
That's it for me.
All right, very good. Council reports. I'm going to start with Councilmember Tricochet.
And just to remind you before, Thank you so much. I'm really excited, and thank you to staff. One of the things that I love about this community is all the things that we do, and Chief was talking about some of them with the Police Explorers, but there's a lot of things that we do as a community and with the community. I always call it a fresh market, but it's not a fresh market, it's a farmer's market that comes here, good Lord, every 2 weeks. It's just been growing and blooming, and I really want to nod to the other council members who have just been so engaged and really making it happen. So many of our residents are coming out and enjoying it. I'm getting a lot of feedback from the residents that they're just really excited, and this is how they saw the vision of Bay Harbor. Just a couple of reminders, we do have an Easter egg hunt coming up. I do think it's awesome that it's based upon your age when you get to go. For those of you who have children, you can probably appreciate that. Summer camp. We do have our summer camp, and correct me if I'm wrong, it'll be the first year that we're in our community center for our summer camp.
We're still going to be utilizing both schools.
Both, okay, perfect. Very, very exciting for that, and it's really economical. If you are a parent in the town, the cost is really de minimis comparative to other camps, and the care is really comprehensive, and what the kids get to do through the efforts of staff is really top-notch. I did attend the Leo Awards. Congratulations to the chief and to his team for what they got. It was a really proud moment and exciting to be such a small municipality comparatively to some of the other ones, and to be recognized for the great work that you guys are doing with the youth. The town picnic was awesome. I know that my children were really excited to get to meet some of the town founders and some of the people that were integral in creating the town. My children were extremely excited to meet Ann Bussell-Broad and thanked her for the field that they have. And lastly was the election. Congratulations to the winners, and I think it was a really exciting election in that so many people turned out and voted. There's a lot of items, and I'll be bringing one up at some point in the future about how that's done, but to have 892 people come out and vote really on a day that they normally wouldn't, out of the 3,000 voters that we have, is really something that was impressive, and to a credit of a lot of the people that are sitting up here.
All right, very good. Councilmember Reed?
Okay, let's see, where do we start? First of all, condolences to Councilmember Yaffe and his family. It's a very sad part of life, but I'd also like to say happy birthday to a young lady in town named Dorothy Whitall, who turned 87 today. So she's been a part of this community for a long time, and thank you, Dorothy, for your service if you're watching out there. I've been getting a lot of feedback, and I talked to the manager about some of it. Speeding on the perimeter roads on the East Island for sure. So I've asked for some of the smart trailers, the speed trailers to be put up, and to do a little bit of enforcement, or at least a little bit of measuring. And then, maybe in the future we might look at some kind of calming measures in addition to the green pass that may be helpful when they're done. And I've been getting a lot of questions about the bridge tolls. Since they've gone up, and people are used to paying their 80-cent reduced rate, they understand that we have to pay for the maintenance, but, people really want to know why, we don't have the labor anymore, and they really want to know why they can't have their own special rate for residents. And I know there's a certain reason, it's been explained. I understand, but, it's just the fact that it's gone up so much. It's almost doubled from 80 cents to $1.50 for a lot of people, and there's no discount. I just wanted you all to know. I don't know if you're hearing the same thing yourself.
I am,
Right?
I think that maybe we could do something. I've also heard about the parking, like in Surfside, if you're a resident, you get to park
Right.
free. So maybe that's something that we can...
Maybe we can offer an explanation, because, I think people are really getting bitter about it,
Yeah.
Find out a bad idea to put something in the newsletter
article.
explaining why.
Yeah, and what the benefit is of owning our own bridge, because, a lot of people say, well, if we have to save up so much and we just need to replace it, why don't we just give it back to the county, and then we can have our discount, like Key Biscayne and the Venetian, and, so that's just, I'm getting that a lot over here on the East Island, FYI.
Okay. Councilmember Sullivan?
First of all, I want to say that, also I want to wish my condolences to Bob Yaffe, Jane, and his family on the loss of his mother. I did not find out about it until today. And I think that's wrong on all levels. When something that, important takes place amongst, our colleagues and of course among staff, I guess we should be alerted immediately, unless he specifically said he wants it for private.
He waited a long time to tell us to, so just so you know.
But, like as soon as staff knows, you guys should have told us, because I really feel bad, speaking to Jane and Bob today, and it's been almost 9 days since his mother passed away, so I felt bad about that. Next week, with God's help, I will be going to the Southern Municipal Conference in Jekyll Island at no cost to the taxpayers. It's underwritten convention for members of the Executive Committee of the Florida League of Cities. It's a 3-day event which we discuss items that are similar to the things that that are on the agenda for the Florida League of Cities annual convention, but it's actually a smaller convention that is kind of a convention of leagues of cities for the southeastern United States, and it's very interesting. This is the second one that I'm going to be attending, and I'll report on our findings when I come back, but I'm a bit excited about that. Last month, or this past month, I guess it was last month, that I also presided over my last meeting as chairman of the Children's Trust. I have termed out as chairman of the Finance Committee, I have termed out as treasurer of the Children's Trust. Yeah, they have, on all the executive offices for the Children's Trust, they have term limits of 6 years, so I'm still on the Children's Trust, yeah. So I was, it's like, it was a heartfelt and, moving moment, but, and then next week is my last Children's Trust meeting as the treasurer as well.
So we're doing what position do you have?
No, I just become just a regular board member again. Rank and file board member. I know, I'm gonna have to belly my way up to the middle of the picture, but, anyway, so that's my
Very good, very good. Josh?
Okay, first of all, again, repeat my deepest condolences to Bob Yaffe and his family on the loss of his mother. At the same time, my congratulations to Stephanie Bruder and Kelly Reed for their re-elections. The picnic was a fantastic success. Again, I thank everybody involved. I think, it has become the signature event, and I am very happy that, everybody in the community comes out, that the town does such a wonderful job. Everybody does such a great job on this project and the picnic, and thank you for everybody and for your efforts. In addition, also, I attended Florida League of Cities Action Days, lobbying up in Tallahassee for the benefit of the citizens of Bay Harbor, trying to limit the damage that will be done to us in the legislature this year. That's really the way to look at it. And went up again for Dade Days with a lot of the other elected officials from Dade County. And I'll just mention, because I know he's not here, but Bob Yaffe was up there for both of them with me as well, and he made similar efforts on everybody's behalf.
Stuff that you guys both went to Dade Days and the League's Action Days.
Back and forth to tell us, trying to see what we can do to limit damage. It's bad this year.
So I also want to send my condolences to Bob and his family. And I also want to let you know that I'm working with the school diligently to have everybody re-register at the school. So you might hear a lot of grumblings from people, but we are asking all parents to bring in new documentations to the school. I've been working on it for 6 months with Dr. Rodriguez, and it is happening as we speak. And everybody has been asked and is required to bring in new documentations to the school to re-register their children into the school.
It's an important point that your driver's license is not sufficient.
No.
I learned that lesson. You can't
Yes.
bring your driver's
No,
license, you have to
you
bring your
cannot.
utility or something. That's right.
Right.
As well.
So you might hear some, pushback on it, but,
Well, you might hear some congratulations on it.
well, but, I've also heard some not nice comments from walking by the school. I'm walking into it like this was just walk. But I'm just saying, and we're, right, I mean, we are, and I spoke to Dr. Rodriguez today, and she did say there are enough kids already that she is, making that list. People who either refuse to bring documentations, so they are going to, at the end of the school year, be withdrawn from school, or if they don't have the right documentations, they're going to be transferred. So, that should, start to relieve. I'm going to ask the town manager to please give, the school a list of all the buildings that have been demolished or are raw land, so that can make sure that there is, no leases or FP&L bills to properties that don't exist anymore. And then they are going to cross-reference to make sure that only one person is per apartment.
Right.
So there's not, we're trying the best that we can to relieve some of the the flow of amount of students into our school of kids who, unfortunately are out of area.
Have any kids ever moved in and been denied access to the school?
So no.
They just keep packing them in?
So that's the issue, is that, first of all, when I talked to her today, I asked her, because, we have this thing now that's going to be choice school, where you're going to be able. She doesn't believe, and I have a call into the assistant superintendent also, I left him a message today, about that specific thing. But we don't qualify for that. And I want him to give me very specific reasons that I can bring back to you, so that you're all on the, you all be able to talk about it, and be educated on it.
I think it goes based on the percentage of overcrowding. I think we exceed that percentage, so believe it or not, by default, we're exempt from that.
Right, but we also, so now that I'm trying to bring us down, I
You don't want to be too down.
Right. Well, that was the discussion we had, but she's going to give me very specific things, and I did ask her that before the school year begins next year, she would come so that she can educate us all, or somebody from downtown to come
That'd be great.
and educate us on that. So that's the first thing. We're in the middle of the end of testing for our kids, EOCs and all the testing, and they're working extremely hard to try to get us to be an A school again. They've been for 17 years, but, the bar keeps going up every year. Also, the farmers market is every other Sunday. I had some people, unfortunately, go on a Sunday that there was no farmers market, so it's every other Sunday. I also wanted to talk about reverse 911, because we have so many new people, and I was knocking on doors, and I'm sure Kelly also, there's so many new people within our town that we don't have their phone numbers to be able to give them if there's a hurricane or an emergency. I think that we need to do a reach out again to people so that...
I agree 100%. We just sent staff to Code Red training. They had one in-house in Broward, so we sent 3 of our staff members there. It's expanded so much. I mean, there's a lot of email, text capabilities, and we're going to do another push to advertise so we can get people to come
You
in.
used to have a database of home phone lines, and a lot of people don't
Right,
have
right.
that.
Yeah, those get disconnected very often.
So I have a
become
couple
obsolete real
of
quick.
sections. One is to reach out to the, on the East Island, to the presidents of the condominiums to kind of help you get everybody's phone number and emails, and then, the West Islands maybe send out a notice to make sure that they can,
We can send out...
something out to let them know, because there's so many new
In addition,
residents.
it'll be in addition to the newsletter, we'll send something out.
Right, okay.
Jordan, one thing I
Yeah,
forgot.
yeah, go ahead.
Just one more thing, I forgot to ask. I wanted just to run by everybody and make sure I get permission to do so. As you know, I've done in the past where we've set up the evenings for the comedy. I'd like to try and bring it back again, unless anybody has an objection for me to set up another evening.
That's great. Very good.
Maybe we could do the restaurant night with it.
That's why I do it. Every time I try and do it, I work with the restaurants and try and see if they'll provide a meal as well. That's the intent.
Very good. All right.
Now we have a community center for it.
Yeah, now you actually have...
Well, yeah, exactly.
You could do it in the community center, not
The only
here.
problem is it takes away some of their jokes about being here in this room.
They have to get new material.
Exactly.
They have to get new material.
Right.
Okay. Well, due to time constraints, I'll be brief. First, my condolences also to Councilmember Bob Yaffe. I did speak to him, and obviously it's, to have the, obviously because of Passover, he couldn't mourn and say Kaddish, so now he couldn't be here tonight, so it's very sad. Second, congratulations to our colleagues, Stephanie Bruder and Kelly Reed. Sincere congratulations on your win for another term for both of you. And also, lastly, I just want to say thank you very much for my third year as mayor. I do appreciate it, and thank all my colleagues that supported me. That being said, we're going to move on to public comment. We have first Leo Canero. Come on down. Pick the one night we got 3 meetings, sorry. Sorry, this is not...
Good evening. For the record, my name is Leo Carnero, 1050 93rd Street. I just wanted to introduce myself to the council and the mayor, vice mayor. I'm a new resident of Bay Harbor with my wife and 2 kids under the age of 18 months. And we're both...
Time to get out here tonight?
I know, right? My wife is like, when are you coming home? We're going to put the kids to bed. But the whole reason I wanted to be here is just because we're really excited to be part of Bay Harbor and participate and be really involved in this community. I'm going to be participating with the Parks and Recreation committee, because I have just a lot of energy, as you see, at 9 o'clock at night, and I'm just sitting through here. And, I, by trade, I work in the construction field. I'm a superintendent. I'm actually building a new Prime 112 restaurant down in South Beach. It's going to be called Prime Private. And then my experience with the big residential homes, and my wife, she works with the Miami-Dade school systems for 12 years, and she's an instruction supervisor, where she's in charge of the science curriculum from 6th to 8th grade for the lower performing schools in the city. So she goes to the, that socioeconomically areas where kids are affected, and they're a little bit different, right? Because if you get a phone call saying your children's acting up, you guys tend to be more of a present parent and be able to help out in that situation. While in other areas in Miami-Dade, she calls the kid and says, hey, your kid is acting up, and it's like, well, I can't control him. What do you want me to do? And then that's, But long story short, I'll keep it, I'll wrap it up. But thank you so much for the opportunity to speak, and you'll be seeing a lot more of me around the neighborhood. And thank you so much. And I just want to say I went out to Emilio's with my 18-month-old by myself on a Friday night, last Friday, and it was an experience, and they were great, and the pasta, the food was great.
Very good.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Certificate of achievement.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. All right, Francis Newhut.
Since you mentioned restaurant while she comes up, I wanted to let you know that the Brazilian restaurant is now an Argentinian restaurant, tapas. They're opening up. I forget the name, it escapes me right now. But they got their license today, so they'll be opening up. And
Will they get a story in the news wave so we can give them a boost?
Yeah, we spoke to her today, and she's excited, and of course.
Very good. All right.
Unfortunately, the other restaurant lost $600,000 trying to build it in this town, but we'll be done. Okay, this is from the Miami Herald, and it's written April 17th, and it talks about charities don't pay property taxes. That pinches some city budgets more than others. And I have a list here. Aventura is over $10 billion in their tax base. North Bay Village is over $1 billion in their tax base. Bal Harbor, which has no charities at all, no churches, temples, nothing, they're over 4 billion tax base. Now, Bay Harbor Islands, which has only a tax base of 987 million, and that did not include the fact that that we did not include the church by the sea, and we did not include all these demolished buildings that we now have with no new buildings on them, and also a preschool with no taxes, and they have the summer camp as well. These things are not going to help increase our tax base. And I really want to think, are we putting our town residents in harm's way by allowing religious institutions on the ground floor of our business district? I dropped off my grandchild at a religious institution preschool today, and there were police officers in front with guns. And you can see close to 96th Street, a temple across from the Bal Harbor shops also in the front there with police and guns. And you can see close to Collins Avenue and 96th Street on these religious institutions, police with guns. Do we have no one else to thank except the Bal Harbor government and cooperation of our government, including the Bal Bay town planner, owners of Bal Harbor Shop's expansion, and the lobbyists for tax-exempt Church by the Sea for allowing, without counsel, not allowing the residents' public discussion on this religious institution, Church by the Sea, as an agenda item, allowing the relocating of a tax-exempt Bal Harbor religious institution with all of its 70,000 square feet, including their ancillary usages, onto the entire Ocean Cadillac property, including the ground floor. I thought I had 3 minutes.
You did.
Well, all I wanted to say was, even with this, what's happening here is the lobbyist attorney is going to come back to you people after you change all your ordinances and benefit the Church by the Sea, and she's going to threaten you with the RILUPA law and have the entire Ocean Cadillac as a religious institution.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Newman.
I just want to...
Yeah, of course.
Can I interject for 1 second, just to make the record straight? And I guess this is more of a question, but I think I know the answer already. The preschool on King Concourse does not carve out any non-taxability from that building, does it?
They don't own the building.
They own the building, so therefore the building
property
pays the
owner
same
pays.
tax if there was a boutique there or a preschool, right?
Of course they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the information of the listening public, all the synagogues that have armed guards in front of them...
With guns.
With guns, all of the armed guards, all of the uniformed police are paid for by the religious institution themselves with their own funds, and they hire either armed security guards, or they hire off-duty police, and they're all paid by the religious institutions. They're not underwritten by the city government.
Excuse me, we're not having a discussion. This is just... Excuse me, Mrs. Newman. I'm sorry, but...
Well, I'm only answering his question.
It wasn't a question.
But it's not the money.
Thank you, Mrs. Newman.
It's the safety of our community.
Mrs. Newman,
And
thank
as
you.
far as the preschool, it is for sale, and these children do not
Thank you,
pay.
Mrs.
They are under Obama something or other,
Mrs.
and
Newhart,
it's taxed, and they
Mrs.
don't pay.
Newhart, I'm asking very nicely. All right, Victor Meyer.
Victor Maya, 1155 103rd Street. With all of the lobbying efforts that we engage in, with all of the memberships in the League of Cities and all these other groups and organizations, why haven't we heard of some concerted effort to close the loophole that tolls all of these construction permits around the state. I mean, our governor, at the drop of a hat, declares, state of emergency for anything, and he's been doing it for years. And all of that does is toll all of these permits. And there's a question as to whether or not, because I've seen some of the permits, whether some demolition permit, is the same as a construction permit, and so on and so forth. But, our town basically takes a position, hey, it's tolled, we don't care what kind of permit it is. And you have a situation like we have, with the Tower property, that was sitting there for 6 years, because those permits kept getting extended, all told. And you saw how they were reticent to agree, to any provision that would limit that. And so, I know that our staff doesn't appreciate that, to have these projects out there. I know you guys don't appreciate having all this stuff out there going on and on and on. I would assume that other municipalities throughout the state, are equally exasperated, over this. So I would, hope that you guys, as part of, all of your lobbying efforts and all of your memberships and so on and so forth, are making a concerted effort, or would make a concerted effort to close that loophole, because it is impactful on us. And so, at any rate. My second point is I appreciate Kelly putting on the agenda the direct election of mayor. I think that little exercise that we had at the first meeting was to come up with a word to describe it would be insulting. I thought it was ridiculous. I think when you have, the Children's Trust, term limiting officers after 6 years, when you have other types of provisions, to move on in order, when you've said over and over and over again that the position of mayor and vice mayor has no more authority than that of any other council member, to have something like that happen again, frankly, is thankless. And I look forward to rallying people here so that we can have the direct election of mayor.
Thank you for your comments. That ends public comment. We're going to go to committee reports, and she's not here, so we're going to move on to the consent agenda. And we have everything except for 3, 5, and 7.
I'll move it.
We have a motion. Okay, a second? I'll second it. I have a motion, a second. All those in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Anyone against? Okay. All right, so now we're moving on to number 3. Isaac. It's my item, but,
Cue it up for me, Jordan, because I need to understand this a little bit better.
This was something that actually I got from the City of Miami Beach. The City of Miami Beach passed this, this was probably, I think, in November, and I believe it was unanimously approved, and I asked that and I know that they were asking other cities to approve it. It's just, in regards to LGBTQ individuals being recognized as a protected class, and I thought it was something, it's just a resolution, so it's not binding. It's just a recommendation that our council would support that. And that's all it is.
I'll move it.
Second. A
Do
motion.
you know if the local PTA is involved in promoting this at all? It's national. but
It's national.
Just wondering if, they've taken this on also as a cause.
I don't know if they did, but I know that the person that actually brought it up was a PTA member. So when he presented it in Miami Beach, it was a local PTA
A Bay
individual.
Harbor person? Or?
No. Well, the Miami Beach has representatives from all the PTAs. So,
Okay,
I
I'm
can
just
tell
curious.
you that all the PTAs representatives for all the feeder pattern in Miami Beach supported it. That I can tell you, because I was there.
Well, we are a feeder pattern.
No, I know, I supported it too, because I represent the school for the feeder pattern. So it was unanimous for that meeting, and of course the mayor and commission supported it. So I believe my good friend Nikki Steinberg, I believe, was the one that moved it. Yeah, no, good question. So, all is in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, great, thank you. All right, now we have number 5. Councilmember Reed, you're the one that brought that up.
Yes, this was a resolution that Commissioner Hayman came and spoke to us about.
Yes.
And when I went back and I looked at the recording again, because she explained it pretty eloquently, about the circumstances under which someone would have to be detained by ICE and all that. But it wasn't until we got this resolution that it actually, she mentioned the 7 situations or factors, or the 6 factors, and number 6, if you look on the second to last page, it talks about the county will no longer require the federal government to reimburse them for any costs related to compliance with the detentions, with the request. So even though I agree with most of this, and she explained to me today that it's really it's a nominal amount that they will not be asking for the federal government, maybe like 6 figures, but they feel like it sets them up better for millions of dollars in fundings that they won't lose, so it's a trade-off. But that being said, I'm not going to vote for it just on principle, so I don't know.
It's funny because the language in this resolution, in my opinion, contradicts a bit what she was saying.
Me too.
Okay, and to go further, it's like I'm more comfortable with the language of this resolution than I was with what she was saying. So I'm going to support the resolution.
Okay. All right, any other comments? All right, hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
A motion and second, all's in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against?
Opposed on principle.
Okay. All right, so it passes. Next is number 7. All right, this is Councilmember Reed, this is your item.
Well, I didn't pull it.
Yeah, I pulled it.
I thought you were...
And I pulled it for the same reasons that I pulled it last time, because I think this is 100% inapplicable and unpracticable for a town our size. I mean, just all the language in here just relates to things that don't exist in this town, and it was just discussed a minute ago by Mr. Maya that although the mayor and the vice mayor, or the mayor is the titular chair of our meetings, he's really one of 7 council members, and that, this particular resolution calls for giving the mayor certain powers to, appoint committees or take cases. And
I think that means the mayor of the county. This is the county code.
Yeah, I understand that, but the operational component of this would be translated to Bay Harbor, and I think it's just completely inconsistent with anything that we have in place right now in the structure of our administration and our council. I think we all comply with the state code of ethics. I think we all comply with the county code of ethics. We have an ethics commission. We employ the ethics commission. Our residents employ the ethics commission. And, I think, this is.
Well, just for the record, this takes it a step above, and it, compels not just us and the administration, but this is also for employees or future employees, that if they should see something, they must report it. And I can tell you, examples where at the city of Miami Beach, people working in offices where there's money, and, sometimes people turn the other way because there's a crime being committed, and they say, well, I'm not doing it, so I'm okay. So this really just puts into words what is expected of them, and it makes it easier because then people can say, well, it says right here that I should be reporting these crimes, and then at the end that I have protection for reporting them, and, I just don't see any downside of this. It's an ethics ordinance, and, I'm incredulous that anybody would vote against it, but that's your right, so.
Let me actually say one thing. I don't think it's necessary. I think we already have a duty to report everything. I think we have a duty to do everything here and keep by the code. But at the same time, I told you that if Joe Senorino came out here and said we should do it, I would vote for it. I'll stick to my word, and for that reason I will. But I do believe it's unnecessary, but I'll vote for it regardless, because I did tell you that.
All right, so hearing no other discussion, we'll vote on it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And against?
Opposed.
Well, opposed. So it dies. All right, next we have number 9, because it's, he's not with us, but he's with us, so.
Item 9, consideration and approval of an ordinance on first reading requested by Councilmember Yaffe, amending the park requirements for existing building uses.
Yes. This is the
You
revised.
were giving a revised ordinance. We discussed it with, I discussed it with Michael, and actually Bob saw the revised version, and he gave his stamp of approval. The previous draft that you had was a little too broad, so we cleaned it up, made it work with our use regulations a little better, and that's what's presented to you.
Let me say one thing. I think we need to wordsmith one thing here, because the English isn't necessarily proper.
Where is it?
If you go to page 4, which is...
You're on the revised, right?
Yeah, on the revised, I'm sorry. On E.
The new E.
Exactly, the new E, not the old E, but the new E.
Where?
To use the same thing, I would do, notwithstanding the above, buildings existing as of the effective date of this ordinance, and then you can continue. Because the way it's written here doesn't give us what we're trying to
I understand what you're saying.
Existing language, okay, so you just want to turn it around.
That's
buildings existing as of the effective date, and then come back to what you had before.
Okay.
All right. Okay, can I have a motion and a second?
I'll move it.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, as revised with that amendment. We have public comment. Jeff Burkow. Twice? You only get to speak once.
Thank you, Jeff Burkow, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard. If you look at the deletion of the language in Old E, it is exactly contrary to what you were trying to do for 1 Kane Concourse earlier this evening. So you're now eliminating the exemption for restaurants that don't have lunchtime service. So now, with your deletion of Old E, you're making any restaurant in a commercial area, regardless of whether it's B1 or Gateway, comply with zoning requirements, and that restaurant would not be able to comply, and we couldn't have a restaurant.
I'm reading it the same way.
No, it's existing.
I read it as the
It doesn't, no, that's not what it says.
What he's referring to is new buildings. What we're trying to do is existing buildings that are there already, that are coming in
We're
with a
building
restaurant.
a new building.
Okay, can I have a minute?
Yes.
Okay. So, any new building that comes into Kane Concourse has to comply with parking regulations, period. That section that's there about the 6 p.m. was applied to new buildings by us before, so that's what you're trying to say. If we get rid of that, that building will not be able to have a restaurant unless they comply with the parking requirements.
Correct.
That's correct. But that was always the intent.
But this is for buildings that already exist.
Existing,
Right.
We're not talking about new buildings.
And we're also talking about potentially bringing something back next
Right,
month.
to change,
Right.
to allow for
Yeah.
the use that you want.
The way you've drafted this, we will no longer be able to take advantage of the exemption in Old E. When we come in for permit, if we have a restaurant, they're going to say, where are your 89 spaces for this restaurant? And we'll say, but we're only dinner time service, and they're going to say, we took that out 6 months ago.
Well, your project was approved tonight, so this ordinance is not going to affect you. It has not been approved. This is first reading. It will be second reading next month, hopefully.
They're going to look at the plans, or building permit plans. If that's your intent, you need to put something in here that clearly indicates that it doesn't apply to the Gateway District.
We don't apply ordinances retroactively, right? Correct? They have been approved with a restaurant. They provided the parking, saying that they will intend to operate it at 6. You have to come to a different agreement next month, how to address the new buildings. This was only intended, and I think we're going to do away with the 6 p.m. if we're going to address it in a different way.
Yeah.
So, this was only intended for buildings that are there as of today that are trying to bring in new business, new restaurants.
Not for new buildings, this is specifically...
The 6 p.m. doesn't work. In the real world, it doesn't work.
Right.
Restaurants open, they say they're going to open at night, and 3 or 4 months later, they're opening for lunch.
Right.
Right.
And we're not going back and saying, now you got to provide an additional 20 spaces. So, real world, it doesn't work.
Okay.
Sorry, Joe, I don't want to... Is there anything?
No,
I want to ask a question. If we come in for a building permit in October, you don't apply the code retroactively. You're going to apply the code that's in effect, and you're going to be reviewing our plans for a restaurant.
You have a site plan approval with a restaurant. Michael, am I incorrect? Or is that the way that we have handled it? Right.
My concern is that when we come in,
Right, this is not the gateway.
the very first sentence under section 23-24 says commercial parking approval required. It doesn't distinguish between B1 and gateway.
It actually says, on ours at least, it says any new construction in the B1 business district.
Yes, it says that specifically in E.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the same front page that
Here.
we have.
Yeah.
I have.
in the whereas.
We had a revision.
This has been revised. It specifically says here. It actually, that brings up another, sorry.
Well, I understand,
B1 business district.
I agree with that change for the B1 district. Why do you need to delete the old E? Why would you delete the old E? Because the old E continues to apply to the Gateway District. Mr. Miller said it was a good point. I'm not imagining this.
No, I'm not saying you're imagining. I'm saying that doesn't work.
Well, you're saying it may not work practically, but everybody on the town council has been relying upon that and saying, we want you to have a restaurant here.
No, they want you to have a restaurant, and they want you to come back next month with a different way of having a restaurant.
But he's making a valid point here, saying that because he put those hours in specifically because he wants to still be exempt. I understand what he's saying. Okay. And he's right. And you're right. It's a valid point. Okay. So it's...
You have to tweak it.
So why don't we
It's first read. It's first reading.
exempt properties in the Gateway District
Right.
and say that specifically?
Because of, well,
You know, and you know, and then say refer to old E.
No, we have to put it back
Well,
if
why
you have
can't
to.
we put back E for Gateway properties, right? There's only 4 of them, 2 of them are...
so you would put it back in
Put it back.
relationship to only gateway
Right, or
properties?
gateway
For
properties.
Gateway
All right,
properties.
so there's, okay.
And then you have that.
All right, so we'll do that, and you could do that, and then put it for second
And
reading.
there's also
We
one
can
other-
make a tweak.
Yeah. And it's a good point. And then also, there's one other thing. I think we probably should, rather than have a problem later on, I'm sorry, we should
Yeah.
Please do.
But we should probably, no, it's okay. We should probably define existing buildings, because one of the scenarios...
Well, it's as of whatever the day is today.
No, but the definition of existing.
Okay.
In other words, if somebody comes in and tears down 98% of a building, leaves one part of a wall and says, I'm rebuilding, no, there is a legal argument that can potentially be made, and rather than have that controversy,
No, it's okay.
it's better for us to actually define it now, so that we don't have that
Isn't
problem.
it 50%?
If we define it.
There's
how
a
we define
section
it.
in the code pertaining to existing buildings.
But if you really, do you really want to get into the
Yeah,
fight
no.
over the individual
Okay.
percentage and what they keep?
Well, then we better put a percentage.
Right, well, that's,
So let's
That's-
say...
That's easy to do, right? Buildings that currently possess a CO as of today.
well, no, because if somebody does a small
Or
renovation.
operating.
No, but if they do a renovation,
Excuse me.
yeah, no, you don't want to necessarily do CO, because let's say somebody does do an alteration, but it's not a significant alteration, but it's enough that they're going to shut off, close the CO, you know, and then have to reapply for CO. It's still an existing building. We're not trying to remove the rights.
Well, I think they used 50% when they were pertaining to, like an act of God or something like that pertaining to, how many units in residential, because this came up previously in regards to residential. So maybe we should consider making it consistent because it's a standard we've already used pertaining to residential areas. Or, I mean...
We can add a definition for existing buildings.
Existing rights.
That's not a big deal.
On second reading.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so can we amend so that we can...
Sure,
Yes.
sure. So
Oh,
if you
it's
amend it,
fine.
then I'll second it
Okay,
again, and we're happy to
I
go.
will amend it with adding back,
We're gonna...
E for gateway property.
Gateway property.
And adding a definition.
And adding a definition for existing building.
And I'll second it.
Okay, well, motion second. All right, so Francis Newhut, public comment for number 9.
So that's teamwork.
So, yeah, we're working.
All right.
That's very kind of you to do that for the gateways, especially since the Monarch, you gave them 44 parking spaces off-street, new building, 9601 East Bay Harbor Drive, 21 parking spaces off-street. Where are they parking, is first of all, and now you're going to exempt this one from parking as well? I mean, that's not fair to the existing and the intent of this particular ordinance. And I must tell you that it states here, the intent is uses that are more desirable, such as restaurants and retail, without having to add more parking, which is impossible in most cases. Okay? We don't follow our codes here. We have business tax receipts. We gave out 400 this year, or approximately, plus or minus.
More.
And maybe 10 or 11 are retail. I mean, you can walk down the Kane Concourse, and I'm not talking about the gateways, I'm just talking about the business district. How many retail and restaurants are existing today? And we have laws here that state only 75% has to be retail on our, and this one is grandfathering everything in it with real estate offices and with, everything but. And as far as that preschool goes, that was supposed to be a learning center. And now we hear it's being sold as a preschool, not a learning center. So there are questions as to the usages on this particular property. What disturbs me the most, though, is this one about, which I guess Yaffe is responsible for, is the crossing out. And on this, it says, notwithstanding the above, existing buildings in the business district shall be exempt from the parking requirements of subsection C4 through H. And then he crosses out for ground level retail sales and restaurants. What's that all about? I mean, come on,
Thank you.
that's our restaurants there.
I want to say something. Ms. Newhut, we respect your right to come up here and say what you want, but please respect our staff and everybody here. I don't like the fact that you're referring to someone as this one. That's not
This
appropriate.
one? This one what? Well, she's the one who gives out the
but
business tax
it's a disrespectful way to speak. Speak with respect.
You're right, I should. Excuse me. The town clerk who distributes the business tax receipts
Wasn't
has
it-
incorrectly
All right.
been putting out business tax
All right,
receipts.
thank
And
you
I
very
have
much for your
proof on
comments.
all of my properties because of that.
Thank you, Mrs. Newhut, for your comments. All right, so we have a motion, a second, as amended. Any comments? Hearing none, poll vote, please.
Councilmember Tricochet? Councilmember Tricochet?
4.
Councilmember Sauber?
4.
Councilmember Reed?
4.
Councilmember Fuller?
4.
Councilmember Bruder? Vice Mayor Bruder?
4.
Mayor Leonard?
4. Very good. Number 10, please.
Thank you.
Item 10, consideration and approval of an ordinance on first reading, amending section 2-1.1 of the Town Code regarding procurement limitations and competitive bidding. After the, go ahead, Marlene, you want to read it, or?
An ordinance of the Town of Bay Harbor, Barnes, Florida, amending section 211 regarding procurement limitations and competitive bidding for life several years long, for codification for life by effective date.
Can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
And a second?
Just...
Well, first we need a second.
Sorry.
Motion and a second.
I'll second, yeah, very good. Ron?
Just after the procurement meeting, myself and Frank, as we said, we would go back and look at the provisions and look at the code. One of the things that night that certainly stood out to me was the issue of extended or open-ended service contracts. And, for the town, normally, the town manager cannot enter into a contract without the approval of council. This was definitely an oddball or, an odd duck, and that to me was one of the central things that needed to be addressed. So, when you look at it on page 3, or what it says 3 or C, procurements greater than 20,000, I wanted to particularly focus in on that will no longer be the case. Anytime we're going to have a service such as washing pavers, electric service, low voltage wire, cleaning, anything of that nature where we're going to have that could be in a long-term agreement, it would be limited to 3 years, and it would have to be competitively bid, and it would have to come in front of the council. If the council, or at the recommendation of staff, if it was good to extend it for 2 more years, it will come back in front of the council, and you would do it again. And that's, I think, was really an important part of that night, a part of that discussion that night. Working with Frank, we just looked at the other thing was really to kind of like streamline the code to make it a little more user-friendly and to bring it to more contemporary financial thresholds. And that was really the basis of the changes that you see here today.
Okay. All right, we have public comment. Mr. Maya, number 10.
Victor Maya, 1155 103rd Street. I will start out by saying, for an individual that pays a great deal of taxes and has many properties in the business district, Ms. Newhood does make some really good points. If you take the time to listen to them and what she's saying and what she's reading, and I think it is very disrespectful in a lot of the ways that she is being treated, from here. That being said, moving to the bid procurement issue, why would we have any period of time over a year? I mean, the whole point and the whole issue that we had on these open-ended agreements, you get 3 years and then +2, plus this, and so on and so forth. To me, I think that is something that even our finance manager, and he can come up here and say, from a fiduciary responsibility, from an accounting responsibility, and things of that sort, we should not be entering into these long-term contracts, for 2, 3 years at a time. I think it's wrong. I think that when you look at some of the quote-unquote streamlining that was done, well, this town does this, and this town does this, and this city does this, and this is, we're not them. We're not them. We're too small. We don't need an honor code. Well, surely, why should we give our town manager more authority, than all of these other places? I think that you like the town manager and you think he does a good job and you reward him with salary increases and good evaluations, but this code is there for a long time and it's hard to change. And you have an opportunity to look at the issues that brought this to us and actually make it something that is more acceptable. Where are those long-term provisions in these other towns and places? How do they deal with that?
Thank you for your comments. All right, no other public comment. Any other comments from council?
Well, I just have Victor is just not, do you support this or you don't support this? And honestly, your comments about Mrs. Newhood, I try as best as I can to try to concentrate on what she's saying, but you got to admit that a lot of what she says is false. It's just false.
I don't think we should get I don't think we should get in that comment.
And it makes it hard. She does say some correct stuff and some, applicable stuff, But, sorry, I'm just,
I know. Let's not,
But,
I don't want to
a lot
get
of
to
stuff that she says is not accurate. I mean, you can't say, I mean, you have to agree with me. So, but regarding your comments on this, I listened to your comments too. Do you like this or you don't like this?
I didn't see the whole thing because what was posted on the internet stopped at a certain point. So I am hearing for the first time tonight, the $20,000, and the 3 years, on these extended contracts. So, all I saw was crossed out, 5,000 to make it 8,000, 8,000, whatever that was. I saw all those, which is just giving him, more authority on the dollars, which is, you want to do that because all the other towns are giving him that, fine. But the issue that we had that brought us here was the lack of competitive bidding on these long-term deals. And I don't believe that the town should be entering into anything for longer than a year at a time. That's my opinion.
All right, thank you. And just thanks for that clarification. That's what I wanted. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Ron, I'm sorry I didn't have the opportunity to talk to you about this in your office. I would like to. But, so am I to understand now that advertising on the website, so we're going to see on where it says invitations to bid, all of the RFPs will be there, and it just...
Anything, yes, it will be on the website and a paper of general circulation.
And that paper, what are we using, the Business Journal?
Business.
It's already up in the website, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, but I mean, it used to be that on the website, it would say, if you're interested, contact us. It wouldn't list it on there, so you could open it as a PDF. So another,
Some of the things are too big to post. Some of the advertising is posted, some of it is too big to post. Sometimes it's plans, that have to be reproduced. So some things we can put on the website because it's a small packet, and some things they do have to request because it's a...
I know. I just know when I was looking into it, I looked at a couple websites like Sunny Isles and North Bay Village, and I saw just like pages, maybe 100, that you could look at, and, the way that we had it set up before on the website, it just looked like there was a title, and then you click on it, and there were fields. Fill out your information if you would like to know. You know what I mean? So it's like people couldn't really peruse it, and I didn't think that was very transparent. So as much as we can do, and if there is some attachment that maybe they have to get, but I'm sure that the basic scope of the work could be placed on there so someone could look, and then they could either decide or not.
Actually, I believe that whole thing where the field was required,
Yeah.
we removed that recently.
Yeah.
And you just go in there, click
Yeah.
it, and just...
I would just say maybe look at those two websites for an example. Maybe they're using some kind of a program, that allows the files big enough because they seem to have a lot on there. And then the paper of general circulation, I know it's because the neighbors would probably be a lot more expensive, right?
We're talking about,
to comply with...
well, yeah, and we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands, not just...
But isn't that publication...
That is a major trade journal that
Right,
a
but
lot
do
of
you need
cities use.
But the cities use it.
Yeah.
Do you need a password? Can an average person go in there? Is that one of those you have to have a membership?
No, you can look at it.
You can look it up.
On Data Business Review, you have the
Business Review.
subscription. You need a subscription on
No, but online you can look at it.
You can look at some of the basics.
Minimal.
Yeah.
To really go in, you have to have
Yeah.
a subscription.
Frank, when the topic of procurement was brought up by Councilmember Reed a couple of months ago, you guys said with full confidence that we were compliant with whatever our procurement code
In writing.
was. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
But what we said was, we would take our experience and make it a better code.
Right, so subsequent to that meeting, I was informed by our manager that our auditors actually came up with some findings, although they were not major findings, they were worthy of comments in the final management letter. Okay. Did you guys obviously reviewed these documents and these changes, et cetera, right?
I did, and this is a result of that, together with other procurement ordinance that I've worked on, that I've reviewed. I did the homestead one recently. I didn't think that was necessarily applicable here because of the size difference and the budget
Right.
difference. But what I did was took this and into what the modern trend is for budgets and town manager positions. Essentially, when you look at the supporting, and I gave you just a few examples of neighboring or similarly situated municipalities, and you'll see those enacted in the last few years have given more and more discretion. Municipalities do a great job of budgeting, and you expect your town manager to enact that budget.
Right.
And that's where the trend is going. And also to address many of the points that Ms. Reed had, and during that whole workshop, I made sure that it was very clear that these bids had to be done, 3 of them, in writing, took out the verbal, and put a time certain on those open-ended agreements as being no more than 3 years, with an option for the town if the town wished to exert that option as well.
Right. Now,
But most
Ron, before you go on,
importantly,
let me just finish my comments, and then you can fill in your comments. Have we instituted procedures within our administration, in the process of procurement to assure that we are remaining compliant with this amended, with this amended code, or with this amended ordinance?
From that meeting, we went back, we reviewed our policy and how everybody deals with the procurement policy or the code as it's written, as it stands without any changes. We revised our invoice and did a training for everyone.
Right.
In the invoice, we've actually included what the code currently says now, so that it keeps all documentation together.
Right.
And nothing, everything gets signed off and reviewed. There's several layers of sign-off, but now it keeps it all in one spot, so when something comes in front of myself or JC or Alan who has to sign off on a purchase, everything is together, it stays together, and for auditing purposes, it all stays together, instead of it being kind of like in different spaces to find it.
And is what the way you've reworded the procurement documents, the requisition documents,
Yes.
there's actually like a box that's checked off and an
Oh, yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry I didn't bring it with me tonight.
No, there's no need. I mean, if you say you guys are doing it on record, I'm presuming that you're doing it.
One of the items tonight was the emergency purchase. One of the issues that was pointed out to me was that in an emergency purchase, you did everything right, but you didn't get it in front of the council within 30 days.
Right.
Our issue was sometimes, as you know, the agenda's cut off. And not that I thought it was, usually I speak to everybody on an emergency of any consequence, and you know about it. Sometimes we don't have a final invoice or a final price, and I'm ready to run in and say, by the way, I have an emergency, I need approval to fix it, I have no idea what it's going to cost. You look at me like I was nuts.
Right.
So when I come to you with that, we come to you with a final price, and usually with working within our own agenda schedule.
Was that wire advice that you're referring to, the 38,000? Is that the one?
No.
Or a different one?
I'm not sure. But anyway, so tonight, I didn't want to wait, and that's why tonight I said, you know what? I'm not waiting until the next agenda meeting. I'm bringing it up tonight, and I'll get it.
Or you could email it too. That would just get it off your plate immediately, right?
Yeah, but you need,
And then-
for auditing, you need it approved at a council meeting, because we
But
argued
to
that.
us, yeah.
We actually, we said, yeah, of course, I spoke to everybody, but it doesn't really matter unless they can, get it, on paper.
And so finally, this ordinance will enable you to do your job more efficiently and in a
I
compliant
think
way.
so, but really to the point that was being made was the open-ended agreements. And I agree that, operating the way it was just the way it was. Tri-City Electric was here for 30 years. I could not find a contract, whether the one existed before or ever, we didn't know. And later on in this agenda, you'll see we went to bid. Whether we approve the contract, whether you approve this tonight or not, I'm following that. I'm bringing any Tri-City Electric or any service agreement to you for your approval. It will be for no longer than 3 years.
All right.
And that's the way we'll go forward for me. This way, it's better, it's a contract, you should be approving it. If you want to extend it, we'll make that recommendation at that time. But I think that was really one of the key issues.
Okay. Anyway, the contract, a 3-year contract in a case like that is not really a contract. I mean, there's a 30-day or...
We can always get out. In there, it says I can terminate at any time.
Right. If at any time we get, we just randomly get bids for, hourly electricians or whatever, and it comes out cheaper, we can say, hey, look, you guys are...
In that item, you're going to see we're asking approval for 3 separate electrical firms to give us the ability to do just that. Viller and Sons was a big contract. We went for landscaping services. We terminated that because they couldn't fulfill their contract, and we terminated. And then that's how we wound up with Brooklyn.
All right, hearing no other comments?
Mayor, I know it's late, but I want to say something, just so that people hear it. We make an effort every month to put the entire agenda packet online.
I know.
Several days before the meeting. There was nothing cut off. Everything is there. You can go now and you can look online and you can see everything that's being brought to you today. There might not be, if something was revised at the last minute, may not be there. But everything that we give you is put on the website for every resident to look at and see, and see what's going on.
No, and I know you guys do a great job, and not every municipality even does that, so it's commendable. All right, I'm hearing no...
No, I want to say something.
Okay.
Obviously, I brought that meeting, at that meeting, I brought to your attention, several examples, and, it's important that we do follow whatever code that we have. So I'm glad to see that there's some progress being made. And then, I also feel somewhat vindicated that the auditors, even though this is not their primary function to look at procurement, they're looking at accounting practices. But, I was kind of made to feel at that meeting that I was completely wrong. So, I'm sorry that it had to come to that, but I'm glad that we are moving towards complying with all our codes and everything we do, especially when it comes to money, because even if they're cited as minor, it gives, the perception of impropriety.
I just, question, the findings by the auditors, and I may be misremembering this, they were not related to procurement, correct? They were related to some other items that we had, like we were supposed to file reports at a certain time and we missed one of the reports or something along those lines.
In the auditor's report, we don't have it in front of you today. I mean, we're going to present that in May, the next meeting. One of the findings were in our $1 million grant, we should have filed 10 reports to FDOT for the money. Mm-hmm. We filed 6. And we were following every time we did a pay application, we would file the report and we would get reimbursed. Some of the reports that were omitted really were progress reports, and we missed the fact that we had to do a 3-month progress report. FDOT never asked for them because the amount of money that we were spending ourselves far exceeded the amount of money we were getting from FDOT. The monthly or the 3-month reporting is really to catch if we were doing a 1-for-1 match. If it was a 50-50 match, they wouldn't want us to try. They want to know what you're spending your money on. If there's a change order that's going to force the price up, and it's really just a check and balance for their accounting. We submitted the quarterly reports that we didn't file, and they were accepted by FDOT.
But there was a whole page on procurement, yes.
There was. I can tell you our office, and specifically Craig, did not agree with their interpretation of the code, which we think that they overstepped in their interpretation. We felt that our legal interpretation was correct. Theirs was not. Notwithstanding, we did take into account everything that was discussed, and I believe I incorporated that accordingly.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I would like to see less than a 3-year term. I'd like to see, more bidding going on, so.
Okay. Well, we have number 10. We have a motion and a second. Poll vote, please. Yep. Hold on.
Councilmember Fuller,
For.
Councilmember Reed,
Opposed?
Councilmember Salver,
For.
Councilmember Chakoshy,
4.
Vice Mayor Bruder,
4.
Mayor Leonard.
4.
Passes.
Very good. Number 13.
Discussion and approval requested by Mayor Leonard and Councilmember Reed to request proposal for a traffic study to review all aspects of traffic impacting Bay Harbor Islands.
I'll let you go, Councilmember Reed.
Well, I think, today was an example also of the, the perception with all the development going on. And, by the way, did we have some kind of a study? Do you know about the cars that were going back and forth on the causeway?
Yes.
Was that part of our
No.
study?
No. A long time ago, when we put up the Sun Pass gantry, it was a test that the the Turnpike provides us, what would do to make sure our system was reading cars correctly, because there's several variations of plates as they go through, multiple axle trailers, cars following too closely, cars trying to avoid, riding the middle lane, trying to ride off to the side, and they try to set up a bunch of different scenarios. They do 1,100 passes, and they track the transactions through the system to make sure they're reading correctly. So that's what you saw. I didn't want to do that test until basically the bridge was finished, and really just to start running that, it would be very difficult on traffic. It still ties up traffic occasionally, but they'll be done by the end of the week.
Okay, well, like I said earlier, too, I've gotten a lot of complaints about speeding in different areas, mostly on the East Island. I don't, but I see it on the west, too, because it's so wide open, But I think, I would say, I've spoken to more people who have requested, for example, speed bumps. But I don't think we should just go willy-nilly putting in speed bumps. So this is the kind of thing, that I think should be studied and evaluated and, have the actual numbers measured and then have some professional recommendations.
But I think that we also need to look about when do we do the study? Because we're now going into what I consider the low season. In the summer, it's the low season for us, because Jordan, the school is out.
No, I agree, but this is a request for proposal, so by the time
I know, but I'm
you do
just
it-
saying, but I want, if we're going to do it, let's do it when it's going to have the most impact, when it's high season.
Well, do you think we should do it twice, once at low and once at high, and see if there's a difference?
No. There's no reason to think for the cost. You want to hit the harder problems, and if the problems is significant, it's going to be significant.
I think there's some urgency here,
Clearly,
but
one
in
of
the
the-
meantime, maybe some enforcement.
We had a lot of similar issues when the roads were being constructed, and it was, we got a lot of complaints about traffic and construction, which is very similar to what we're having today. If I was to make any, recommendation, it's to study a plan to move traffic around better, around the school perhaps, and to come up with a plan to move the traffic through, because I know we have to drop the speed down to a certain level, but no matter how many cops you put out there, there's got to be a better way to get that flow of traffic a little better.
But Ron, let me ask you, okay, so let's say we approve it, how long until we actually start the study? Because in 5 weeks, school's out. So to make a study when there's no traffic coming over the bridge and no traffic going...
If you want, we can amend this. I mean, they will...
Do you know what I mean, Kelly?
It will take, let's say we put this out in a month, you could have proposals back in a month and a half, and then it would be to come back and sit with them and say, listen, they want...
When, at least this, because in the I mean...
You're talking about doing it in September, October?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right. I just...
You can tell them when you want it
agree
done.
with you.
It's $90,000, it's not, it's
You want some benefit.
And on top of that, there's, besides the school, 4 o'clock in the afternoon in November, you can sit there, and now we also have to look at, all the construction in Surfside and how that is affecting us. And we need, Kelly's right, as I walked and she walked, the amount of people who are complaining of how fast people are driving through the neighborhood is a separate issue from just traffic. It's just...
Well, you know what, one of the things that I didn't talk about it tonight, and I spoke about it with the chief, would you be surprised at how much enforcement is done in the town on a yearly basis with moving violations and moving violation warnings? It would shock you. And there's a fine balance that they have to walk between over-policing and under-policing. When you're walking on the street and a car goes past you, even at 20 miles an hour, the closeness of the car to you will give you the impression it's going a lot faster than it actually is. Now, with that said, you asked about the signs. Everybody behaves when they see a police car or they see the traffic sign. We ordered, and we should be delivered to us shortly, a stealth traffic reader, and this way it will give the chief the ability to measure traffic when nobody's looking, because that's when, let's face it, that's when people blow stop signs and whatever. And number 2, it will better be able to let him know when to deploy or target, because resources are resources. We can't literally have a cop at every corner, but we can target.
But some of the stop signs are not exactly out there.
Report them.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
Do we own a smart trailer?
No, we borrow one from time to time. I'll be honest with you, Sean was very persuasive in asking and convincing me to put the speed things on the speed indicators on the Causeway Island and at the base of the bridge. And anybody you talk who's doing the enforcement, they'll tell you, as soon as that goes off, it has an effect.
You see it.
So maybe we need to put some around the actual...
You know what, I would, before we start putting blinking lights like that in the streets...
I like your idea, let's do the surveillance.
Let's do the targeted, and then we can really just zoom in on the time to
on
get
Pine
them.
Tree Drive, Pine Tree?
Yes.
Yes, so when I drive with Speedy Gonzalez, Bruder there, he slows, that does impede him from,
You're talking about the
Speed bumps.
No, and also they have how fast you're going.
Well, remember, they also have the medians,
Right.
which is a natural traffic
Right.
calming, so
Right, but
even
I'm
before they have
Right,
that.
but I'm saying, either the flashing lights and the,
Well, listen, even with my experience, I would like, some kind of a study to be done, and then to turn it over to the experts. I'm not suggesting, so when people would say, we need speed bumps, I never told anybody, I'm promising you speed bumps, because that might not be applicable.
I'd also like to see what we can do, and Chief, just one thing, I'd love to see what else we can do with people coming the wrong way out in front of the tot lot. I see that way too often, and that's dangerous as can be, with the hedge right there, and people coming the wrong way, and someone's going to have a head on.
There's another issue, too, that was brought up, over the last few months, but I've noticed it myself, and I've always wondered, we talked earlier about East and West Bay Harbor Drive, where you can't make the left turn, so, right, it causes you to have to go to the terrace. And we understand why, because there's no space there for a turn bay, and if there were, that would be great. On the West Island, you can make the left turn, going, to the south side of the island, but that's because obviously there are way fewer people who live there. The volume is lower, so you're not going to have 100 cars trying to get there. Otherwise, you'd be having traffic all the way backed up. We'd have traffic congestion problems. But I had asked Ron, and I know you looked into it in 2015, that when you're coming onto the East Island from the west side, and you want to go, north to 103rd Street, there are times when there's not a car coming westbound at all. And let's say even on a slow traffic time that could be like a Saturday during the day or Sunday during the day. And think about the 98th Street Park full of kids, but there's not that much traffic out. So somebody going to Island Point could whip a quick left turn, or maybe, in the off-peak hours, like on 123rd, they have signs that say, rush hour, you can't make left turns. So I think there may be times, I could be wrong, there may be times where you could make that left turn and not get a ticket, or maybe it could say that you couldn't slow traffic, or, if it didn't impede traffic. If we could look into it maybe like from a different angle, instead of, sure, you can do it any time because we don't want to back up traffic, but if there were ever an opportunity, because I'll tell you what, 98th Street, to me, when the kids are at that park, I don't even use it. I live right there, and I avoid it at all costs, because to me, it's like Frogger. There's all kinds of stuff, and I just don't want to be involved. So I changed my route because of that, and, I think it's a danger waiting to happen. And lastly, if we could light that street up a little more, like a school zone, that's a place where you could put the yellow lights, because it's great that we have the sign on the ground, but I really don't think people are catching that. So.
We can include that maybe in the traffic study.
Yeah, but you got to be careful not to disturb too many
the residents.
You don't exactly have the entire street blinking in front of you.
No, but during the day,
Right.
you have to do something to bring their attention to the kids there, because
Agreed.
there are parked cars, and they just whip right out.
Just looking at all options through this.
So, Sean, if you don't mind telling the council just a little bit on how we deal with residents, because on Pine Drive, where you have the speed humps and everything, there's a lot of traffic goes through that doesn't live there. Our traffic, everybody kind of lives here, so they walk a fine line, and one of the things that they use effectively is the warning system that's logged into a system. So, you're right, I'm not going to talk.
Thank you, Mr. Wesson. So, we've actually done several traffic studies, and if I could just add, when I first became the chief 4 years ago, I met with Chief Overton at the time and Chief Allen, and they actually went into a traffic study of the two cities together to look at how traffic on Collins and how traffic on 96th Street could be improved. And really, from what I've seen, nothing significant came from that study. So I like the idea of a study. I like the idea of us looking for a better way to ease traffic conditions, but when we looked at it locally, every idea, every suggestion, it all came back to, once you zoom out, there's 2 ways in and 2 ways off this island. So we can ease traffic going in and out of school, but what's the cost of that? Now is the bottleneck on the causeway again? Is the bottleneck to the east? So we actually like the idea of somebody coming in and giving us maybe some other suggestions. As far as speed studies, that's one thing we do frequently. In fact, our latest speed study was, should we add more electronic signs to the causeway going westbound, specifically at West Broad? Should we add another sign there? So we sent officers out there to survey. I think we surveyed over 300 or 400 cars, and from the data I reviewed, probably 90% of those cars were in compliance. Most likely they stopped at a red light, the traffic was congested. So we're seeing most cars in compliance in that area. You get further out by the Chevron station, we're seeing more cars out of compliance because they have more roadway, more clear roadway. A similar study was done on East and West Bay Harbor Drive, where we ran four separate traffic initiatives. And again, 80 to 90% of the cars weren't in compliance. Did we see the occasional car at 40, 45, 50? Yeah, but it was very rare. I think this stealth machine will give us true data. I won't get too far to what it looks like, because then we're no longer in the stealth mode. As far as the speeds, I would suggest giving us a chance to provide the council with true statistical data as far as what the speeds actually are, and then maybe incorporate that into the plan. Again, I know Vice Mayor Bruder brought up the fact that school may be in and may be out. I would suggest that we run, Councilmember Reed's already identified one location of her concern. We're going to run that first. The machine should be here next week. And then from that, I suggest we put the machine out at key spots, maybe 4 days at a time, 24 hours a day, and by next council meeting, I should be able to give you true data on at least 6 locations. And that'll give you a better idea of what to do with this study. And then again, we can run in the summertime, and we can run it in the fall. And I just think it's going to be a true savings to the town. But I really do like council members' ideas, or Reed's idea for the study as it relates to the flow of traffic. As far as the enforcement procedure that Mr. Watson was talking about, we pretty much have gone to a zero tolerance second warning. At this point, if somebody's been issued a warning, it's automatically given to the officer on the spot by the dispatcher. Bill Smith has received a warning for speeding, and they're going to be issued a citation. In the last council meeting, one of the residents came up and identified some information that was brought to him that we typically won't write our residents. Again, we try to create a fair balance, but that's not the case. Several of our residents have been written. They were issued prior warnings, and there's some long-standing members of the community also, so we don't let that impact our decisions too much. So I think this new standing order on the written warning system, that should have an impact also.
I heard an anecdote that on the way home from a recent meeting, a group of neighbors, might be your neighbors even, that people who had complained about the speeding, and the effect of development on it. So one of the neighbors did get a ticket, and the others were happy about it. Not that it was that person, but just they were thankful, and they took you at your word, and so you did what you said you were going to do.
Yeah, in fact, the situation where Councilmember Fuller is mentioning, the one-way traffic, I would say out of the 5 tickets that were written, probably three of the people were West Island residents.
Yeah.
So I know they try to use some discretion, but at some point, if it's a daily violator, we haven't taken action.
Yeah. All right, so I guess there's an agreement that we're going to do this.
I'm going to put this out to bid.
But put it out to bid with the understanding that it's going to be done
With school.
at least September. Okay, very good. All right.
I know I was gone for a little bit of the conversation. I went to the restroom.
Okay.
But what I was going to add is perhaps we should wait until the completion of the hotels. Because Monarch is going to be completed. Monarch is completed supposedly by the end of May.
Right, well...
And then, I think it would be more accurate if we know what the traffic flow for those for the Grand Bay.
No, we'll get that at the same time, because we're talking about when school starts again next year and everything else.
It's going to be next.
So it won't be until September,
And I
October.
agree with that, I think they have to be included.
Okay.
If the hotel's not done.
Right, but I'd like to then include it in a practical sense, not in a theoretical sense, that, once they're open with traffic flowing in and out of them.
That'll probably affect more the congestion part of it, not the speeding, because I
No,
think the speeding is from 96th Street to the
we're getting all in
ends
one
of the island, so.
That's good.
Okay. Kathleen Kennedy, public comment for number 13. So, no, done with 13.
Kathleen Kennedy, 9180 West Bay Harbor Drive. I would like to thank the police the police department for the police and coffee that we did at our community center. Thank you, Isaac, for showing up. Thank you, all the other council people that showed up for our wonderful coffee and citizens police meeting at the community center. I'm looking forward to the next one. I'll be in Ireland as of Wednesday, but JC has promised me it's going to continue. Right, Ron? And I'll be here for the June one. But I want to thank the police department for doing that for our community, and thank you for the conference that you gave, Isaac. It was just, a good thing for the citizens to meet our police department. I also want to thank, there's a great officer on duty called Officer Waters. You guys don't know this, but Ron Watson worked here on the weekends. I had bumped into him. He saw me sneaking into the park not too long ago, and he blew his horn because he thought the gate was locked and it was open. And this guy's around, and it kind of astounded me. But anyway, I was running the other day in the park last Sunday, and an Officer Waters, I think he came out of North Miami, Sorry?
His name's Wadler.
Well, I don't know, it's whatever, but I was dehydrated, and I stopped him. You talk about wanting a cop when you want one, he was right there, and I said, I need water, because I forgot to bring my water, and guess what? He gave me his bottle of water, and I just came back here to talk about. He was amazing. He didn't know who the hell I was, this crazy woman stopping me to give me and he gave me a bottle of water. So I just wanted to tell that to the council. And I asked him where he came out of. He came out of North Miami. So kudos to police department. Okay? Thank you. Ooh, that was
All right,
fast.
number 13, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone against? Okay. Next we have number 15.
15, consideration and approval of an award continuing electrical services contracts to Tri-City Electric, AGC Electric, and electric service and repair.
I'll move it.
So, do I have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Wait.
I'm sorry.
So, on the last line, you talk about a continuing services agreement, so you're pretty much figuring that's going to be like a 3-year?
3 years. That's it.
Oh.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Now,
Yeah, sorry.
you're approving this with, there'll be a contract written up that'll be signed by, by the mayor, but it'll be approved by the council.
I'll say something positive about this. It's very transparent, and there's a lot of information here. And it's not always about getting the lowest bid. It's about, getting the quality. So I will say that I appreciate the effort here to spell everything out so we can make a decision.
Great. Very good. All right, hearing no other comment, all's in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, number 16.
16, approval and supplement funding in the amount of $70,000 in favor of Hardesty Hanover for construction and engineering inspection services for the bridge rehabilitation project.
I'll move it.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have discussion.
Go.
Yeah, I'm really sorry that this happened so late at night, but, I just gotta go on record as saying, I think, these guys have no idea what they're doing. And I think the amount that we paid for a bridge repair is evident of that, and I think whether they change the price from, they cut the price in half and this and that, I think these guys are incompetent. I think, if they didn't cost us, $8 or $9 million, they certainly didn't help us evaluate what the long-term cost was going to be of this project. So I think, I think they're completely incompetent, and I think we should not employ them for any additional work, and that we should go out to bid on this contract.
Can I ask something? Didn't we discuss them
In February.
right, about the fact that we were going to have somebody come before us and explain to us why it is that what we said was going, if I remember.
I think you asked for a report, and that was the one
Well,
that
our report, what they gave us, and then what was, and I do understand that sometimes, like in a building, you start scraping and you find more, but it wasn't like a little, it was abundant.
It was a ton.
Right.
And these guys have been on our payroll since I'm pretty sure.
Right.
This is the only company we've ever used in the last 18 years.
So, what I will suggest is, I'm going to withdraw my, I'm going to withdraw it, and I'm going to ask you to find another company and see.
I would, there's no doubt that we will be going out, putting an RFQ for engineering services for bridges once this project is complete. But I would like to complete the project.
But why do we
before I
need
do it.
them to complete the project?
Because we're
You don't want to delay it.
about 3 months, we're about 3 months to
They
the
are.
end.
Yeah, this is the
All right, so
last
I
thing.
won't,
I had the same concern, just so you know, I had the same concern I raised with the manager.
so our hands are sort of
And
tied.
I totally agree with you, but unfortunately, this is something that they've already done the work.
Oh, they've already done the work?
This is,
Yeah.
they've been working for the last, 150 days. We have-
Yeah, this isn't a new job. This is the current job.
This is the,
So basically, we're paying them after the fact.
when we extended, the contract had to be extended because there was a lot of extra work that was done. And the most important thing was, or the thing that pushed the project out the furthest was when they started to remove the concrete pillar or the concrete that surrounded the I-beams. A lot of people don't realize the I-beams that you don't see is what holds up the bridge. The concrete is just a protective shield. So when they were taking that out, it got to a point that the beam that carries the actual deck of the bridge was so deteriorated, they had to stop, and that's what caused it to have to come up with a system to jack up, take the bridge deck off the beam, chip it all out, and then re-pour it.
Ron, you said it yourself. The first opening comment was that most people don't realize. And you know what? We're most people. But these guys are bridge, engineers and consultants for the last 18 years. They should have realized. Look, the fact that the bridge cost 18, whatever it was, $16 million, $17 million to repair, when we originally had budgeted $9 million, it just baffles all imagination.
If we go back, and I don't want to answer for Hardesty, but I can just tell you from my own being involved in this project. In the very beginning, the original estimate was a little low. We pushed it to almost $12 million, and that was with the 25% contingency built in. That $12 million had it in there. When the bids came in, the low bid was $12.5 million. And I think...
The thing is that it's not about you. They're the experts, okay? They told us that this is what was wrong with it. They're supposed to know. I mean, we're novices. I'm a novice at this. If you tell me this is what's wrong with it, and you're the expert, I'm gonna expect you to know what you're talking about. They were so off the mark.
There's no doubt that the estimates...
They should have foreseen this.
They should have, and so I still think, yes, so now we need to approve this because we're almost done with them, but, I think that we need a better quality,
I will not argue that fact.
This is the last one, right?
This is the last of the project
We have no
to
choice.
finish it.
No, but I'm saying this is it. There's nothing else left.
No.
And next time you'll be bringing to us at the next meeting. Honestly, I'm going to vote against this because I think it's a chutzpah for them to even
Are they gonna mitigate, do they realize how upset we are and how?
Well, their engineers were here at the last meeting.
And how basically they shouldn't even charge us really anything.
The major cost overruns wasn't the scope of work. They didn't go in and say, we have to do something different from the original project
But it was
design.
less than what they said
It was just the amount that...
We just, I think, let's finish up the project, and then let's take a look back and see if there's anything we can recoup, and if there's anything else any action we have to take. But for right now, it's a matter of just getting...
Going back to February, and, I was very happy to see the enthusiasm here, about it, and we asked for a report. And what we got was basically a cover sheet on the 2010 engineering report from, Ali
Akbar.
Yeah, so Ali Akbar.
Arbab.
Akbar.
Oh, that is
And in any case, this was a December 2010 final report, so I don't know what you were expecting, but I was expecting more of, numbers.
Apology letter.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a recycled report with stuff that we already knew. I was expecting more of an explanation and more of each one of the change orders and how they happened. So maybe we should be more specific if that's what you wanted.
Something dated in the last year.
I mean,
Yeah.
the change order, every
Didn't
change order
satisfy
was
me.
brought in front of the council.
I don't think that's what we're
That's
saying.
not what we're
I think
asking.
what we're
Okay.
saying is so I have a private business, right? If I went back to my clients every month and said to them, you know what, I'm sorry, totally got mistaken, and I just need to make this change over here, by literally the second time, the words that my clients use are not appropriate, but I would be getting told something. I've only been on the council for a year. I want to say that pretty much every month something's come up from this.
More of a comprehensive report on what the heck happened.
You can even title it that way if you want.
We just want to know what they told us, and
A summary, executive
And
summary?
that summary should not be about the fact of when they took away the concrete, they found the steel's rotted. We know that. They should have known that. We know it now. We want to understand how it was something that wasn't foreseen, how they couldn't figure out that metal inside exposed to salt water and salt air wasn't going to be worse off after this many years.
I'm
That's the real-
just surprised after all these years of getting annual reports, how none of this is actionable, that we depend on them to give us these reports to do this analysis.
Right, and no one's
And then
talking
all of a
about it. I mean, no one's talking about that except me. I said it in the
No, I think
February
that's what we're all
meeting.
talking about, but I think it's something we have to,
talked
I think
about
we're all
it in
talking about it, but I think
February.
it's something that we have to look at. Once this thing is complete, at this point, it's a matter of, like I said, we want the thing done, and then we can talk and see what they've done.
I think you should speak to council and see if perhaps maybe there's something.
I know they were planning to do a presentation, maybe that would be the,
I think you should talk to Frank and see, and Greg and see if there's something there. Honestly, I mean, and I don't think I'm the only one here.
Yeah,
So in the meantime,
I
just want to suggest to the council that I don't want us to be the ones in breach of any contract. So if the work has been done, it really got to get paid, and any claims we have, we have time to look at them. And I think Josh suggested that.
I'm not, this is, we'll pay them.
No, we
for what
have
they
to
did.
pay them,
No,
but
we'll
I
pay
think-
them, and then
But
we'll go after what.
We need to go,
we'll evaluate whether or not
Yeah.
they're doing work, and let's leave it at that.
All right, so.
But I'd also like to know why, we've had to retroactively approve a few of these things, including this one. The last one was over $1 million.
That's because we had no knowledge of it, we have to depend upon the reports, and we seem to be
But
getting...
in our contract, there's no place where it says before we do $1 million worth of work, we're gonna get approval for that? Not even from Ron, from Hardy and
Let's go
Hanover.
back and do a postmortem afterwards. Let's focus on what's here before we figure out what we're going to need to do.
Well, that was what we asked for in February, right?
I understand, but I think it's a conversation, the whole thing is a large conversation we need to have at a different time, but let's focus right now on factors.
Yeah, I think Ron says we're on the last leg. We're a couple months away, right? Is that Ron? 3 months, and then from that point, we can go back and evaluate the whole scene.
right.
Can you make it clear to them that we will not accept another invoice? And it needs to come to us before they perform any services beyond this?
Keep in compliance,
We've heard, come on.
keeping...
This isn't for contract work by the contractor, this is from
This is
our
for-
engineering services.
No, I understand.
But they're for sure done.
Yes, this will take us to the end of the project.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second? Only?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we need a poll vote, please.
Councilmember Chakoshay,
For.
Councilmember Sabra,
Against.
Councilmember Reed,
Opposed.
Councilmember Fuller,
4.
Vice Mayor Bruder,
I vote for.
4.
Mayor Leonard.
That was 4.
Passes 4-2.
Yeah. All right, number 17, last item.
I'll move it.
All right, do you have a second? Motion and a second, any discussion?
What is our ad going to be? The other municipalities, they put everybody's picture in it and everything.
Oh, I've seen that.
We've done it before.
Yeah, maybe, you want to do that with the picture? Yeah,
Sure.
thank you. Thank you, so,
This is for a quarter page in the table of 10.
yeah.
I won't be.
So we want to go half for the 4 page.
A half will be $750 more, and a full page will be $1250 more.
Well, this is the agenda, whatever the agenda item
The
says.
agenda is quarter page. Color quarter page.
Yeah, we'll do the
That's what I
yeah.
moved.
Very good. Okay. Any
Move to
discussion?
adjourn.
What was it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Motion to adjourn, we have second. We're adjourned at 10:44.
Do you have a shredder? We can drop this.